Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Brendan Plays. This is Total Extreme Wrestling for our All Elite Wrestling save. Well, in the news, All Elite Wrestling is in shambles, but for us, on our game, we've already booked our show for this week. Before we kind of address what's going on in real life, I just kind of want to stick with what we've got for now, and maybe next week we'll kind of, after this show, address all the problems that is, of course, happening in real life. At the time of recording this right now, they've just had the Dynamite where the world title's been stripped and suspensions have been laid out, so I don't fully know all the details of who's gone, is some CM Punk going to get fired, things like that. So we don't fully have all the details yet, so we don't 100% know exactly what's going to happen yet. So I don't know what to do with the save. You know, do we suspend CM Punk? Do we fire him? Do we suspend Kenny Omega? So many things we have to think about, because obviously right now, you know, Omega is our world champion. You know, he's had a decent little run so far. We've been thinking about dropping the belt from him, maybe at All Out, which is still quite some time away. So, you know, what do we do? And that's kind of where we're at. So we'll address all this in a little bit of time. We'll let all the news kind of come out in real life before I make any sort of decision, because as you guys know, if you've been watching the series for a while, you know I like to replicate what happens in real life to a degree, because if someone gets signed or someone leaves the company, I like to replicate that and make sure it's the same in my game. If the Elite are just kind of suspended for a few weeks, I wouldn't probably have Kenny Omega drop the belt or vacate it. I would have him probably lose it to someone and make it mean more. But yeah, so we'll address all that, and we'll just treat this episode as business as usual, but we'll have to kind of think in the back of our mind, do we need to pivot? Do we need to change gears? But we'll treat this episode like nothing's happened, and then we'll kind of go from there. So let's jump into it. This week's edition is booked. We've got a few pre-show matches to get through as well, so let's jump into that to start with, as Yuka Sakazaki will take on Kira Hogan on this week's Dynamite. Sakazaki 58. Pretty good. 12-minute match. Kira Hogan was good as well, 41. 57 overall. Look, there's obviously a lot of value with Sakazaki and Rio as a tag team. I like that. And we do need a strong babyface team to come through. So if we can get them a little bit more popularity, you know, they might end up being maybe even the best, you know, in terms of in-ring quality, the best team we've got. But a strong win for Sakazaki nonetheless. Next up, we're trying out a new team, Silas Young and Dustin Rhodes, two grizzled veterans. As you know, that's pretty much the best way to put it. Two guys that look like they've been through a little bit. They've been around for a while. I figured let's try them out as a team. We've got Silas Young and Ring of Honor at the moment, and he performed at 58. I think he's got 40 popularity, so that's a massive, massive performance. Dustin Rhodes hanging in there. He's hanging on for dear life. 45 performance. You know, he doesn't really wrestle too much, from what I see, maybe he does on Dark in real life, but we don't see him on Dynamite too much anymore, so I don't know how much he's really got left in the tank. In our game, he's starting to really slow down a fair bit, so I feel like you could definitely get a bit of value out of him in a tag team, and someone like Silas Young, you know, two grizzled veterans may work. I would probably prefer if it was someone that he had more of a connection with, someone he's kind of been, you know, whether he wrestled in the WWE with, or you know, even WCW, right back way back when. Silas Young, not really too much of a connection as far as I know, but nonetheless, could be a team that could just give us another extra slot on the roster. Anyways, they lost to Proud and Powerful, so they lost anyways. Proud and Powerful, we are in the process of looking to push them, and a nice performance from them. 70 rated match for a pre-show is really good. AQA came in from developmental to lose to Jamie Hayter, 38. Trying to get Jamie a win, trying to get her popularity up, trying to get some momentum for her. And the Guns, Colton and Austin Gunn, they took on Top Flight. 49 rated match, pretty good. Dante 48, 54 for Darius. Well, obviously the Gun Club been featured quite heavily in real life, so I'm thinking about bringing them back from Ring of Honor. They have gained a little bit of popularity since being in Ring of Honor, so it has been a positive move, whilst we've had nothing for them to do on the main roster to send them there. I'm sure they developed their skills a bit too, so we could bring them back on the main roster and, you know, be a decent, you know, I would probably turn them heel, decent lower card heel team that might even, you know, venture into more. But in our game, they don't have great in-ring skills, so they are a little bit more difficult to work with, even though I think they're pretty good in real life. So we'll have to kind of weigh up and see if we need another team. We could definitely bring them back. Okay, we're going to open up the show this week. Samoa Joe and Tomohiro Ishii had a match one-on-one. Samoa Joe, 63, Ishii, 58. No chemistry. No chemistry between these two. We're using Ishii for a few, one-off appearances here and there. He took on CM Punk last week. It was a pretty good match. I figured, why not? We could use him again this week, and we might have, another decent, solid little match here. Someone for Joe to beat. And despite the chemistry issues, we still had a 68, which was pretty good. And next up, Christian Cage offers Samoa Joe a place in his group, 84 rated. So we're thinking Andrade's first opponent could be Samoa Joe. It's a solid main event level sort of talent. Joe, his performances haven't been good, so we're probably not going to push him that heavily. And Andrade could get a nice, really solid win, probably have a pretty good match with Joe, and would be a good way to kick off Andrade's, All-Atlantic title defense. And obviously Joe's got that Samoan heritage, so it kind of works in with the, taking on overseas sort of wrestlers and making it a world sort of, like, not a world title, but like defending it against wrestlers from all around the world. So it does fit into that mold as well. CM Punk comments on Miro's attack last week. So last week, Miro laid out everyone. He's been the dominant man right now since Double or Nothing. He looks to be one of the favorites to be the next contender for the world title. 86 from Punk, interviewed by Tony. Thunderstorm took on and defeated Superbad for 56. Well, that's the other thing, I didn't even think about this, but Thunder Rosa, there's been a lot of talk about her. Is she getting fired or she want to be released? Apparently no, so she's injured in real life anyways, but yeah, Tony and Thunder Rosa has been a bit of an interesting thing in real life, but nonetheless, in our game as a team, being effective. Thunder Rosa 51, that's one of our best performances for a while. Penelope Ford 46, Ali 47. Overall, a really solid match. We gave it 15 minutes, so this was kind of pretty much the blow-off match here. These two teams have been feuding for a while, and finally they had the big blow-off match. Thunderstorm pick up the win, as we're going to probably build them towards being an opponent for Divinity down the line. Madison Rain says TJ won't get an automatic rematch against Divinity and have to earn it. So that kind of plays into the whole Madison Rain Divinity sort of affiliation, making it a little bit more difficult for TJ to get their title rematch. Ricky Starks defeats Frankie Kazarian in a 60 rated match. We are building Ricky Starks to feud with Keith Lee, and Starks and Taz call out Keith Lee and challenge him to a title match. TNT title, of course, is Keith Lee's. 75 was good, solid promo by Ricky Starks. So we kick off this. I think it's a good matchup. Keith Lee's red hot right now. Don't think I'd give the belt to Starks, but it's a young guy coming through the ranks, building a lot of momentum against Keith Lee, who's red hot. It could make for a really, really good pay-per-view match, so we'll see how it kind of plays out. The Wingmen took on the Best Friends in a trios match. Wingman pick up the win, 64 rated. Looking to start getting some of the guys that we believe will be the trio, top trios in the company, getting them more matches. Best Friends definitely one of them. Might be Best Friends. This might be their moment to finally get some sort of credibility in the company, because they have, as a team, Trent and Chuck have been treated pretty poorly. We've had them lose quite a lot. Orange Cassidy's been more of the star of the group, so him being more involved elevates them, and they've got a potential to go to that next level, so we'll see. Athena and Britt Baker had their big blow-off match. Athena gets the win, 14-minute match. Athena grabs the win. She performed at 55, Britt Baker 51. Very good. So, yeah, that's the final match between these two. Athena grabs the win as we probably start to build her towards being an opponent for Jade. I think that's kind of where we're headed with this. Similar to real life, I suppose. Let's hope they're a better match than what their real life one was. But yeah, I think that's a natural thing for Athena. She's come in recently. She's one of our most popular women on the roster, and she's been able to pick up a win over Britt. So, solid win. Bryan Danielson demands that Kenny Omega be at Rampage. So, no Omega last week, no Omega here on Dynamite. He's demanding that Omega shows up on the upcoming episode of Rampage. So 70 rated there. Yeah, not a bad promo, but obviously we are building towards Bryan Danielson and Kenny Omega for the belt and a rematch. So Kenny Omega's still selling his injury, so hopefully he'll show up. FTR apologized to MJF for not supporting him after his match. MJF promises to support FTR in their upcoming rematch against Malachi Black, Darby Allin. Well, that's the other thing. Malachi Black in real life apparently has been released. He's not going to go to another company, but he's gone from AEW for the foreseeable future. So, probably a good thing we had them drop the belts, but probably do a rematch here against FTR, and that might be the end of the House of Black. I don't think you could have Darby Allin kind of stick around with the other two and make it work. I think Darby Allin, probably a good chance for him to go his separate ways and kind of go as a solo. Nice little run as a team, Malachi and Darby, but unfortunately probably cut short. Main event was Miro and Adam Page. 20-minute match. These two went at it for a fair while and performed pretty well, 82 overall. Miro grabs the win over Adam Page. Sammy Guevara tried to screw over Miro, trying to get a bit of revenge after the attack last week. Didn't work. Miro gets the win. Adam Page takes the L. There we go. So, solid win for Miro. Post-match, Miro again attacking Adam Page and Guevara this time, but CM Punk comes in and saves both of them. 84. So, yeah, we are building towards the Fatal 4-Way. That was the idea anyways. If we have to suspend CM Punk, then obviously a triple threat will work. Miro has been built up as probably the big, main, bad monster in this situation. I think CM Punk and Miro is probably the money match out of this, but Sammy and Adam Page just add a different element to it as well to get more guys involved. But yeah, not too bad. And overall, 75 rated show. So we had one good match at the main event, but we just probably lacked one other really good match in the middle. We had a couple of average ones, a lot of women's matches, so that brought the overall quality down to a 75, which does have us lose popularity in 9 regions. Now onto AEW Dark, let's get into it. We got Swerve Strickland defeating Angelico for 69. Nice win there for Swerve. We got Thunderstorm and Inspiration having a confrontation in the ring. 54 rated promo between these two as we set up a potential feud for these two. Yeah, pretty much the next two best teams that aren't involved in the title hunt are these two teams. So I think it's good to have them kind of battle it out to determine who's the next contenders. Yuka Sakazaki and Julia Hart had a match for 30, Sakazaki 48. Wanted to give her another win, even though I knew that it would get a negative result because of the fact that they don't have enough popularity. I was willing to risk that just to try and give her a win on the main show to maybe boost her up just a little bit. Cabana House were defeated by the Acclaimed for 49. Yeah, look, I feel like we really need to push the Acclaimed. We've been trying and thinking about it for a while, so I'm trying to really move that along a little bit here. Getting them a win over someone like Colt Cabana, who's got a bit of popularity to give, and, we know Colt Cabana is no longer in AEW on their main roster. I know he's in Ring of Honor, so we probably might even match that and move him down there. So we've got a bit of an opportunity to utilize his popularity for someone else. The Christian Coalition, hey, they have a promo in the ring for 67. So we're trying to build Isaiah Cassidy and Mark Quinn's promo ability, so more promos from them. Obviously having Christian to help them and the presence of Lance Archer as well. Wardlow takes care of Takeshita in quick fashion, 63. So this is his first opportunity to have Takeshita in AEW. We brought him in recently just to have him pretty much come in to lose. We thought his performance in ring would be pretty good, but I didn't expect 51. So very good stuff. And he's got adequate for his new gimmick. So he's definitely a guy that we could have lose to our top heels. And Wardlow still is a heel. We haven't done the turn yet in our save 63. Best friends discuss their chances of winning the trios belts, 54 for that promo. And speaking of trios, we've got 2.0, Matt Lee, Jeff Parker, and Danny Garcia. Still got these guys together as a lower tier, trio. They are taken on and defeated by Death Triangle, 64 rated. Not a great match, but Park, 93 performance. Ray Phoenix, 87. Heel versus heel wasn't going to be great, but good to give Death Triangle a win nonetheless. Will Hobbs, 67 for his promo. Wow. That is a Will Hobbs promo for 67. That is massive. So definitely a huge improvement by Hobbs. And our main event was the House of Black. They defeated the Men of the Year, and we had QT Marshall team up with them as well. Trying that out, maybe to see if that could work. Yeah, it was okay, 55. Nothing special from the House of Black, 69, 66, and 72. So that was okay. So not too much of a great show here, just 51 rated. It's a bit of a throwaway episode of Dark. I don't like to do these too often, but we're kind of in a period where we're in a transition period. We're going to establish new storylines and start just giving guys who we want to push in the next kind of segment, next couple of months, give them some wins to build them up. So that's what we're trying to do here. Alright, now time for Rampage, and once again, a little transitional of a show, nothing too major happening, but Santana and Ortiz issuing a challenge to the Lucha Bros for 74. That took place on the pre-show, so a good solid promo from those two guys to advance that story. We knew the big confrontation between Danielson and Omega was going to happen, and they agreed to a match at the next pay-per-view for the World Title 99. We've got Regal there, Callis is there, the assistant Nakazawa is there as well. So, good overall segment to build that story. We had the Undisputed Elite. They took on and defeated the Dark Order. I wanted to see what we could get out of Adam Cole. He's got an injury at the moment. He can work through it. Is he worth sort of trying to push through the injury to make the Undisputed Elite, involved in the Trios Championship? I mean, they had a 56 rated match. It was okay. But Adam Cole certainly took a big toll in his performance, so I feel like we may not risk it. Now, the other thing, of course, Bobby Fish. He's left AEW in real life. I get a feeling that he could come back once the injury's sort of clear from everyone else, which, who knows, that could be a fair way away. Kyle O'Reilly, I think, has got a serious injury. Adam Cole's nagging injuries, I think, so he could come back at some point, but for right now, he's not really needed, so I'm not sure if I should release him or not, but yeah, for me, I wouldn't have got rid of him. I would have kept him. I mean, I don't see much value in Kyle O'Reilly as a single, and Bobby Fish has no value as a single, so you kind of need the whole group together to really make it work, so yeah, I'm not sure. Anyways, Dark Order, they took the loss here. Trying to do more trios matches, and that's what this one's here as well. We're just trying to get more trios involved. We're kind of struggling because we have a lot of teams that would be good in a trio, but we just don't have a third partner for them, which is the problem here with Jurassic Express. There's no Marco Stunt, so instead they get Lee Johnson. We call in Lee Johnson from Developmental for the night. They take the loss to the Christian Coalition. First chance to really see what we can get out of the Christian Coalition as a trio. And Christian Cage, 89 rated. Wow, that is ridiculous. That is unbelievable. So Christian was awesome. Cassidy 66 was great. Mark Quinn 59. Really good all around. Jungle Boy 76 on the other end. So this trio of Cassidy, Mark Quinn, and Christian could be amazing. Christian could really carry these guys up to the promised land potentially. So yeah, a lot of teams have just need one more guy, and we don't have a lot of single wrestlers that are just affiliated with no one and just simply on their own that would sort of suit. I thought about Will Hobbs, but Will Hobbs, I don't want him losing, so that's why we didn't have him in this one, but he definitely could be a good option to join someone to make a trio if we need it. Hangman Adam Page had a promo on Miro for 79. Not bad, he did try to go off the script, didn't really work well, so maybe keep him scripted. Main event was Dax versus Malachi Black, 80 rated, and in the end Malachi Black got the win for his team. So they'll have a return match against FTR. We had MJF on commentary, so I guess MJF, we're kind of giving him a little bit of a break from anything too major. We're going to keep him on TV, but we're going to try and kind of reaffirm his affiliation with the Pinnacle. So he's going to kind of turn his attention to making sure that FTR keep their belts, turn his attention to make sure that Wardlow is getting success, and even Shawn Spears, and kind of build the Pinnacle up rather than focusing on himself. and he's going to focus on the group. I know, strange for MJF, but we want to try and make the Pinnacle a strong faction. I feel like it was something that could have been much more in real life. It just didn't happen. So we're going to try and make it happen in our game. So they took the loss here, but eventually these guys will have the return match. They will win. And it does give us a 73 rated edition of Rampage. So just needed one more good match. I thought the Christian match, I actually thought the Undisputed Elite match would probably be better than the Christian match. But yeah, look, it was okay. 73, we lose popularity again. So a pretty weak week of wrestling for us, unfortunately. All right, let's take a look at the results. Let's check in with the ratings. We had just over 1 million viewers for Dynamite. Rampage, 852,000. That's a lot of viewers actually for Rampage. Cesar Bononi, he's actually gained some size, which I think is a good thing. 85-star quality. Wow. I mean, I know he's a big dude, and he's got nothing else going for him at all, but he's got some size about him for sure, and the star quality is huge. If only he could do something in the ring, he might actually be worth pushing. But yeah, that's kind of where we're at with that. Mark Sterling, we have never brought him onto the roster. I figured, okay, let's bring him in. We might be able to utilize him to be, a manager for one of the lower tier teams. Colin Cassidy, we're going to bring him in. So WM Morrissey, obviously he's currently working in Ring of Honor for us already. He's one half of the tag team champions in Ring of Honor with Enzo, and he's still working in Impact as well. So he's kind of working everywhere. He's obviously come to AEW in real life, so we're going to replicate that. Ace Steel, we didn't have him under contract, so we're going to bring him in. He might not last long. He might be the ones getting fired. I don't know. Speaking of getting fired, it's time to fire Alan Angels. We haven't fired him yet, so it's time to let him go. Bryan Danielson's not happy, though. We don't really want to upset Bryan Danielson, but we might have to. Sorry, Bryan. We'll try and maybe we'll give him a raise to make him happy. Oh, it doesn't matter. He's still happy. He doesn't care that much, so that's fine. Colt Cabana, he'll survive for now. We'll have to fire him probably at some point. And look, we will be back next episode with more news, hopefully, of what the heck we're going to do with our roster. I was a little bit apprehensive doing this episode today because I don't know what's happening in real life. I really don't want to have to get rid of CM Punk. Honestly, if I have to get rid of CM Punk, I really feel like I won't be interested in AEW anymore at all. He's someone that I really enjoy watching. The Elite, I've never been a big fan of the Elite, but they really are a big part of the roster. And obviously, I've given Kenny Omega the world title, so it'd be a real shame to have to get rid of the world belt just because, he got suspended and he could be out for a while and all this drama. So I don't know. I don't know what we're going to do. I want to replicate things, but at the same time, I'm a little worried that it might really impact the save and what's happening in it. So we'll see. But there's obviously a lot happening in real life, and I don't know all the details just yet. We'll find out more, and for next episode, we'll have more for you. Which is why I don't want to do too many storylines yet, because I don't know what's happening. I don't know where we're going. But we have a couple of outs. If Omega's gone for a long period of time, Bryan Danielson can take the belt. Easy done. Young Bucks, well, probably the plan was to have them involved in the trios mix. We could just not have that happen. Maybe Death Triangle, probably the Blackpool Combat Club. They might be, I think they could be the front runners to win the trios. And CM Punk, well, he's obviously involved in a Fatal 4-Way number 1 contendership situation. The plan was for him to win the match. If Omega's gone and we need an opponent for Bryan Danielson, well, then Miro steps up to be the perfect opponent straight off the bat. So we have a couple of outs for that. So we'll see. But ladies and gentlemen, that's all we have time for this edition of Total Extreme Wrestling. Next time we'll be back. Hopefully we'll have more of a bit of an understanding of what's happening and get more of a direction of where we're going to go for our upcoming pay-per-view, Road Rager. Thanks guys for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.